So vacations this year seem to be going in a very specific way. We've been stuck at home for so long that a lot of people are wanting to take the best trip of their life, bucket list trips. They're really wanting to make it something special. So to that end, today I want to bring you 8 tips for how to add more luxury and comfort into your vacation. So you ready? Let's go. All right, the first tip I want to share with you is to travel in the off season to cheaper places. And by that, I mean going to places that are typically cheaper. So not going to Paris or London, but going maybe to the areas you know are a little cheaper, like certain cities in Mexico, like Thailand, and some of the other countries that you know tend to be a bit on the cheaper side in general. And then on top of that, go in the off season. So for instance, to Phuket in Thailand, if you go between July and October, that is their off season because it's also the rainy season. But if you're willing to put up with the rain, you could get a much better deal. For instance, there's a luxury hotel there called, I'm going to mess it up, Amanpuri, I think. Please don't murder me if I'm saying that wrong. But it is a luxury hotel in Phuket. And if you go in July, for instance, you can get rooms for $85 a night, whereas usually it is well above that. So by combining off-season with lesser expensive destinations, combining those two, you can stay at far more luxurious hotels for a lot less money. The next tip is to use layover programs. So there are airlines that build in layover programs into their ticket. So for instance, if you are flying on Air Canada and you are going to, say, America to London, let's just say, if you have a layover in Toronto, you can extend that layover from a few hours to perhaps even a day, perhaps even 2 days, depending on the program, and be able to build in more into your vacation, build in more luxury, because for the same cost as that single flight that you've taken from America to London, you are now adding a Canadian stop for no extra cost. There are some airlines that offer this, and I have details on that within my article, which I will list below, of some of the programs you can utilize to extend your vacation, add a bit more comfort and luxury for the same price as a single round trip ticket. The next tip, and this one probably you have heard of before, but that is to leverage your mile programs and your perks on your credit cards and your membership to, say, whatever airline is your favorite airline. Now, if you belong to an airline membership program and you have enough points, you probably are in those higher tiered elite status. And if you are, oftentimes that comes with a host of extra perks, whether that is free upgrades, first class lounge access, free bags, things of that nature. All of those can help you to have a much more luxurious experience, even if you're on a budget on your vacation. You can also do the same thing with credit cards. If you happen to have a travel credit card, they often have a ton of perks that you might not know about. Again, things like upgrades, first class lounge access, additional things that can help make your vacation far more luxurious. If you happen to be an Amex member and happen to have those platinum levels, you also get some extra things like access to their Fine Resorts program, which comes with its own host of free things, such as free nights. After maybe you buy 3 nights, you get the 4th night free. They have extra amenities such as resort credits or different programs or just a bottle of champagne on arrival. You can also, if you have hotel credit cards, they often come with free nights each year or other perks that help you to get upgrades and other things like that. So be sure to take advantage of any membership credit card perks and look at the statements to see, or look at your program to see exactly what you might be able to get that you didn't know that will help you make your vacation far more luxurious this year. The next is to fly private. Now, before you crucify me, flying private can actually be cheaper than you think. It isn't always about chartering the entire jet, although there's a lot more companies doing it nowadays, so it is becoming a little bit more affordable, although it is still out of range for a lot of people. But did you know that there are jets that are smaller jets, say 30 passengers, and they sell their seats individually? One of them is JSX. Now, this one started in California as a little local regional airline and went from, say, Los Angeles or Burbank, actually, to Las Vegas, or maybe up to the Bay Area. But they have now extended and have some routes that go into Texas, Florida, New York, and all along the West Coast. If you want a little bit of luxury, this might be just the thing. Now, what makes it a luxury experience is the airplane and the amenities that you get, because it is a smaller jet. It is a private jet. So it's a little bit more of that experience, even though you're sharing it with a lot of people, 30 people. But not only that, you get to leave out of the private terminals. So that means no going to the main terminals, dealing with parking TSA lines, and being in a gate crowded with people. You go to the private terminal, you have much easier access to parking. You have a small TSA service without lines. You can actually arrive about 30 minutes before your flight and not have to worry about it, because everything is much smaller, more private, and just a better experience everywhere you go. Now, this can be had, I was looking at prices earlier today on a sample flight from Los Angeles to the Bay Area, and I found prices as low as about $119 each way. This is for a private flight out of a private terminal. And it does go more than that depending on when you go. For instance, if you go on a holiday weekend, obviously it's going to be more expensive. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention because it is far more in reach than you think. And I'll go ahead and link that below as well. I have a coupon code that will give you $20 off if you wanted to explore them for your next vacation. The next is to use first class lounges. Now, I am gobsmacked by how many people don't realize how within reach first class lounges are. Now, the first and most free way to do that is if you happen to have your membership program with your airline. Again, if you've reached those higher levels or higher statuses, a lot of times you can get free access to their first class lounges. Or for a daily pass rate, as being a member, you can get a cheaper rate to be able to just use it for the day. Another way to do it is through your credit cards, such as Amex, which gives you access to the Centurion lounges and also gives you a free Priority Pass membership, which I'll talk about in a minute, or other travel credit cards, airline credit cards. For instance, American Airlines has their credit card that you can get access to there. If you get the higher tier, if you get the platinum credit card, you get access to their first class lounges. So that's just one way. The other way is to use an app such as Lounge Buddy. Now, this will tell you what lounges are available in each airport, and if they have a daily pass rate, it'll tell you what that is so that you know, oh, hey, I can go use Delta's lounge, and I know they'll only charge me $30 for the day, but I'm gonna be, say, for instance, I'm going to be in the morning leaving on my flight, and I know I'm going to be waiting for at least an hour to 2 hours. And then I know I'm going to have a layover for 3 hours in Chicago, and I can use my pass. I could use the lounge then. And then maybe there's another stop that you could use it on. That might be well worth a $30 access pass for the day. And then of course, there's always, if you happen to be flying first class or business class, you have access to those also anyway. And then the fourth way is to buy a membership such as Priority Pass, which is a conglomerate of about 1,300 lounges. And you actually buy to be able to have access to those lounges. And they have different membership levels based on price and what you want to have included. But all of that to be said, there are ways to get into the first class lounge, but why? Why even bother? Well, it is because it is a more comfortable area for you to wait for your flight. Not only does it have more spacious area to relax, it's not a gate crowded and completely packed with people where you may or may not be able to find a seat, but there are more luxurious seats. There's extra tons of outlets for plugs and different things. Some of them even have desks if you need to work. I've seen some that actually have lounge chairs that lay down in case you want to sleep. They have cleaner bathrooms, they have sometimes showers, they have free food and snacks, and they have free drinks and often an open bar. So if you know you're going to be waiting for any length of time, like an hour or more, using a first class lounge will help elevate that experience and make it a far more luxurious vacation for you and for everybody that you're traveling with. All right, now, as I said, you can join a membership program for those lounge access. Priority Pass is the one I was telling you about with 1,300 different lounges that you can access. I'm going to go ahead and link that below if that's something that you're interested in. I believe they're offering a 25% off currently. So off of your first year, you could get 25% off, and details will be below. All right, the next tip is to not limit yourself to the main city center and to not limit yourself by only hotels. So by that, I mean, for instance, if you're going to Rome, if there is a certain main city popular area in Rome. It's like this, it's the city center, which means it's the most easily accessible to all of the different locations, the Colosseum, the Pantheon, all of those things. If you stay slightly outside of that popular area, you are going to find cheaper rates. So thereby you can afford more luxurious hotels as long as you're not staying in that city center. If you look a little farther afield, and it doesn't mean that now you're super far away from the things to see and do, you can still access those easily. It's just that you're not in that main hub, and so you can save a little bit more. The other thing is to not limit yourself to hotels. And by that, I mean, look to those vacation rentals, whether it's Vrbo or Airbnb. You can explore houses or condos available for rent that will give you more access to things, and you would just be maybe a little bit outside of that city center. And oftentimes it can be cheaper, especially if you're traveling with a family. So if you're traveling with a family with kids, it's often better to get a vacation rental because you have access to a kitchen, you have different bedrooms, so everybody can be far more comfortable rather than sharing a single room hotel. By having the kitchen, it helps save costs as well on meals and be able to give you a little bit of flexibility in that regard and saving more money in that regard. So a vacation rental in that regard is oftentimes far better than getting a hotel or resort. The other thing is if you're traveling in a group, say for instance, you are 3 couples traveling, it would likely be cheaper to share a 3-bedroom house than it would be to purchase 3 separate luxury hotel rooms. So by combining being a little bit outside of the main area and having a vacation rental, you can save big and have a far more luxurious experience on your vacation. The next is to use a private terminal. Now, what do I mean by a private terminal? The one that comes to mind right now is in Los Angeles. It is called the Private Suite. And what it is an external terminal. It's in LAX, but you do not go through the main airport to get to it. It's a completely separate entrance. It's its own parking. It's its own everything. And what you do is you pay for the privilege of leaving out of that terminal. Doesn't matter what flight you're on. You could be on any commercial flight, but you go to that private terminal. Like I said, parking is super easy right out front, very convenient parking. You go in, you have a private suite access. Again, top food, open bar, everything that you could possibly want, every comfort you could possibly want. You do TSA in the private terminal. So it is no lines and it is a private experience. You're not dealing with what you would in the main gate in the main terminal. And then when you're ready for your flight, they literally drive you on the tarmac to the door of your plane. You never touch the gate. You never have to go inside. It is a completely private experience. This is excellent if you happen to be somebody who is famous or wealthy and don't want to have to be in the crowds, or you just happen to have the funds and want a much more luxurious experience. This is absolutely the way to do it. Like I said, this particular one is in Los Angeles, but I'm sure some of the major airports will be opening these as the year goes on and as travel comes back more and more. Now, the next thing to do if you're traveling this year is to take a look at these videos here, which will help you plan your vacation. And other than that, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great, luxurious travel experience, and I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.